You know what Sony had? The Holy Trinity. Leo, Brad, and Margot. Who do you have?
This week, Shane and I are discussing John Ford's classic The Quiet Man, starring John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. This is Boy Party. Sir, here's a good podcast to beat the lovely lady. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boy Party, a podcast about movies with two major movie stars sharing the screen and batting it out for first billing, the most screen time, the fattest paycheck, awards, and the most acclaim. This week, we're traveling to the little Irish village of Innisfree, Cong, County Mayo, dressed up with a new name, to discuss John Ford's classic romantic comedy drama 1952, The Quiet Man. Now, we are stunningly, for us, doing two 1950s films in a row. What are we like? We're months and months and months where all we talk about is 2010's shite.
Yeah.
And then back-to-back episodes, people are getting 1952, 1954 movies. Lucky audience. You guys are getting the full breadth of film history here. Joined, as always, this is going to be a tough one. Joined, as always, by the stranger who came into town. He's recently beaten a man to death in America, and he's fled the country. And now he's here to buy up all the property as far as the eye can see. It's Shane Kelly.
Good afternoon, Irishman.
I feel like if there's like a two-hander and there's like a big male star and a female star who's second billed, I usually make you the female star in my analogy.
Yeah.
Just because I'm looking at the names in that order. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't possibly put you in Maureen O'Hara when I share such qualities with this beautiful redhead.
You are a beautiful redhead, pretty lady.
Thank you so much. Do you think Patrick Burns has a Maureen O'Hara fetish?
Patrick Burns. Yes, I think he does.
This is a man, folks, that we once were terrorized by on the Red Line.
Patrick Burns. Not a quiet man.
No. John Ford's the loud man.
John Ford's the loud man.
A man was on the Lewis with us Red Line about 2 years ago who kept harassing young women for having beautiful Irish red hair.
He was saying that as a positive. He was like, there's not many of them around anymore.
He was trying to build some sort of racist / anti-woke argument, rooted in the fact that you don't see a lot of Irish women with red hair anymore.
Because they are ethnically Irish.
Yes. I don't know whether this is because he thinks that they are being replaced by immigrants or that there is a woke war on red hair. But
yeah, you can't have red hair anymore.
You can't have red hair anymore because of woke. But Maureen O'Hara, the last red-haired actress who ever lived, is clearly someone that Patrick Burns has a pin-up of on his wall, I'd
Absolutely.
imagine. Where are we at with redheads these days? And I'm talking like bright red hair, because Amy Adams was Jessica Chastain.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Isla Fisher?
No. Isla Fisher, yeah.
Is that natural?
Yeah, I think so. Alison Hannigan, I guess. Previous generation.
Anyone? Britt Lauer is going redhead, but she's got brown hair. But
yeah, she's kind of ready.
But she's rocking the red.
Is there anyone else who has really explicitly red hair in terms of actresses? That's a good bunch, though.
It is.
You're talking like two of the big...
No, we're not all explicitly natural or ginger.
Maybe not, but you're talking like three of the big... Nicole Kidman when she feels like it. Three of the big box office draw women of the last 15 years are redheads.
Chappell
Roan, I was going to say, not in movies yet, but you never know. But anyway, Maureen O'Hara, one of the great redheads. By the time I saw Maureen O'Hara, I doubt her hair was naturally red because she would have been about 82 years old when I saw Maureen O'Hara. She did a public interview at the Galway Film Flat 2004, I'm going to say. I should have looked this up. And I can't say this with any certainty, but I think I watched The Quiet Man in the room with Maureen O'Hara.
In the town hall?
In the town hall.
Okay.
I'm going to confirm this for you in the next 2 seconds. So she was at the Film Flat in 2004, and she actually apparently went again in 2007. She did an interview with John Kelly from Lyric FM. And, okay, I can't confirm this, but to the best of my memory, we watched The Quiet Man in the town hall, either immediately before or immediately after John Kelly's interview with Maureen O'Hara. So let's pretend, for the sake of it would be cool if this was true, I saw this movie in the same room as Maureen O'Hara, which is class. Very few times in my life have I watched a classic film in a room with one of the stars. The only other time I can think I've done this with someone of this caliber is I saw An American in Paris with Leslie Caron in attendance.
Very good.
Which is an incredible thing that I don't talk about enough, probably because Leslie Caron isn't quite as much of a household name as she should be. For example, she's not necessarily the caliber of person we would cover on this podcast, but like she is the star of Gigi and An American in Paris, and I think I like shook her hand or something as she was leaving. Like there was a little bit of interaction there.
Oh, what a charmer you are.
I know, right?
Yeah.
These old women from classic Hollywood love me.
Yeah.
But this film, The Quiet Man, is a classic Irish-American cultural tenet, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess so. It probably exists as much in the States as a representation of Ireland as it does here as a classic Irish film. Like,
does it exist in the States as a representation of Ireland better than perhaps any other film? I mean, you're talking now, it's a film that's 70 years old, 80, 70 years old. It's passed through a number of generations. Are there any other films set in Ireland, Irish or American or otherwise, that probably and more Americans associate with Ireland? I would say that people of our generation, maybe now the Banshees of Inisherin and Normal People are getting in there.
That's where the kind of modern Irish person is.
Yeah. Like I would say a person in their 20s now who's into film and TV is probably picturing the world of either of those when they're thinking of Ireland, which is hilarious because Normal People, 50% of that is set in the nightclubs of Tubbercurry, County Sligo. But
you know what? 50% of the people live in the nightclubs of Tubbercurry.
True,
so
yeah.
I think that is pretty accurate.
But The Quiet Man is like a very central part of the, I'm going to say it, bullshit Irish-American white fantasy that is so prevalent that is sometimes positive and sometimes beneficial and has boosted tourism in this country and probably created a lot of opportunity
it gives those white people that have never faced any oppression a reason to feel like they have a place they came from.
Yeah, Wakanda this is my Black Panther.
It is free forever.
Yeah. But I also think that this film does kind of and this is not the intention of John Ford, but like this, because this is a very modern idea, but this film does present a very, very conservative, old-fashioned, in terms of gender roles and everything else, white fantasy of what Ireland is, where I imagine that an old racist American Republican who loves this film, who would come to Ireland now as a tourist, would probably start giving out about how diverse and dynamic and interesting Ireland looks today because it doesn't look more like The Quiet Man, because men aren't dragging women around by the wrists.
Yeah, it's those nice pictures of the States where you see teens in dresses and convertible cars drinking milkshakes in the 60s.
Yes.
Like, it's nonsense.
Yeah, it's nonsense. But with that said, I do think this film is pretty great. Yeah. It's one of the most gorgeously photographed things I've ever seen. I think.
Oh, buddy, we watched this in my house at home in Galway in the west of Ireland, and you come in and you... oh, shit, I don't think you turned it down, did you?
No, I turned the colour up to 100.
Sorry, you turned the colour up to 100.
Oh, I did turn it down.
Oh, you did turn it down before you left?
I turned it down later that day during an episode of Everybody's Live with John Mulaney because it looked crazy.
So I'm wondering, my parents will get home and they'll see the TV and they'll just go blind.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll put on a football match and there'll be so much green.
To your parents' credit now, they didn't have the motion smoothing on their LG flat screen.
I think they bought that TV before motion smoothing was the thing.
Maybe it's slightly older, yeah.
Probably.
No motion smoothing. We watched a sequence of films in Shane's parents' house on the weekend, including next week's episode, which I won't spoil. We watched Disaster Artist. We watched...
you watched Nosferatu? Nosferatu.
I watched the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we watched Clueless. No motion smoothing, but I had to turn the color up to 100 because I didn't feel we could fully appreciate the gorgeous Technicolor of The Quiet Man.
Oh, it's incredible.
John Ford, obviously famed for his compositions, his painterly images, his attention to detail in terms of depicting vistas and landscapes. It is so interesting how these guys, like John Ford and David Lean, probably the two most well-regarded directors of the mid-century in terms of how they film outside space, and landscapes. And these are guys who spent most of their careers working in like deserts. In John Ford's case, shooting these epic westerns out in the desert. And in David Lean's case, he did Lawrence of Arabia and all these great war epics. And both of them, in the cases of The Quiet Man and of Ryan's Daughter, ultimately turn their lens towards Ireland. Because if you've shot so much brown and orange, you eventually want to shoot somewhere that is incredibly green and blue. And I guess if you're a Hollywood filmmaker, Ireland can be
accessible,
that green and blue, and be accessible. And it is a very cinematic idea. The whole idea of Ireland as a traditional space is very cinematic. You're like, this is a place where everyone is 50 years behind in the times. They have all these old weird traditions, very strong sense of family, funny voices. They drink loads, old little cottages. The women wear the bright colored dresses. It's an incredible fantasy that this film engages with, and it's absolute fucking nonsense. But
was this nonsense at the time?
Maybe not. I don't know.
To
be fair, it was shot in Ireland, and so was Ryan's Daughter, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, like we do need to find a 7-year-old and be like, is this what it was like?
I'm sure many people, I'm sure we could talk to our grandparents about this. I mean, it's the 50s. So like my grandfather would have been in, his teens at the time, and I'm sure your grandmother might have been around at the time.
Yeah.
Like it's perhaps inspired generally by the Ireland of the time with a little bit of paddywhackery.
No, to be fair, it's shot in a real Irish town.
It is.
So obviously the aesthetics of the pubs and the houses and the streets are very real.
First movie we've ever covered on this podcast, to the best of my knowledge, that has its own museum and gift shop. Am I talking
Surely
shit?
not.
Am I talking shit there? Anyway, tell the folks about the Quiet Man gift shop while I figure out if that's true.
Gift shop. We went into the Quiet Man gift shop, which is in the upstairs of a little cottage in Cong, County Mayo. We went in. They have lots of...
shit, I forgot about the closer gift shop. Anyway, keep talking.
The Carnage gift shop.
Carnage gift shop.
Anyway, we went upstairs into the gift shop. I know, there's a lot of typical...
Roman Holiday probably has one by proxy.
Sure.
I'd say there is a gift shop in Rome that is themed around that film.
Roman Holiday.
Yeah.
Anyway, before you interrupt me a third time, there are plenty of magnets and prints and books and mugs and all the trinkets you could desire with the Quiet Man printed on it.
Delectable
and
trinkets.
Then Lucien decided to pick up a fridge magnet with John Wayne on it.
Yeah.
And he went up to the counter and he paid.
Yeah.
And the lady handed him a receipt and he said, "Oh no, you can hang on to that."
The woman
and she just went, "Oh, okay."
The woman looked at me
okay,
like I had just fucking, told her she was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I did
so
wrong.
upset.
What does the Quiet Man gift shop woman wanted to get receipts so bad?
It's a very mystical place, and we were convinced then that we were cursed.
Yes.
Because we rejected the receipt off the lady.
Immediately it starts raining.
Yeah.
An opportunity presents itself to break into Ashford Castle grounds.
But we hear gunshots.
And as our luck had not been going so great so far,
no,
it seemed like a bad idea to.
The cafe we tried to get into was closed.
It's just not a good day.
No.
But we did get to go to the Quiet Man gift shop. We also got to see the Quiet Man statue of John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, and we recorded a little clip for you at the statue just so you could hear the atmosphere of what it's like there. Myself and Shane and friend of the show Christina are standing here at the John Wayne statue in Cong, County Mayo. This is where the film was made.
No.
And let's describe what we're seeing. We've got John Wayne, who's 7 foot off the ground? A bit over 7?
It's a slightly larger than to scale.
Yeah, and then Maureen is probably around 6 and a bit. Copper statue, he's lifting her off the ground. You can see pictures of it all over our social media.
We did just try and recreate this with Lucien and Christina.
It was a nightmare.
I was so low to the ground. You did it.
She got off the ground. We had to lift off.
Yeah.
My ass is the whale.
Yeah, it's raining very heavily here in Cong. There's tractors going down the street, and it's just not a very nice day. So back to you guys in the studio. That was us at the Quiet Man statue in Cong, County Mayo, where this was shot. We also got to see the Dying Man house.
We did.
It's literally just a sign outside that says the Dying Man house.
I don't get a sense that anyone lives there because there are signs in each of the windows.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a little mini museum.
Yeah.
Like you
can see the pub that's kind of the center of the fight at the end.
Yeah, and they've got the hotel there is named after her.
Danaher's pub.
Danaher's pub or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say that it is right on the edge of becoming ridiculous. I would say that Cong stops just short of being overwhelmed by the Quiet Man shtick, and has managed to maintain its identity as a nice town, independently of this film.
Yeah, it doesn't go. Like, to be honest, there's not a. It does benefit from having the separate attraction of Ashford Castle.
Yeah, which kind of has nothing to do with the film, although it is in the film briefly.
Is it?
The bridge is,
the bridge is there. Yeah,
but I would say that in terms of towns in the world that are associated with one film, I don't know, Forks, Washington, where Twilight is set, or Twin Peaks, wherever that was shot.
It's up in Montana.
I would say that those towns, it's probably harder to avoid.
Lean into it more. Yeah.
The Quiet Man.
No, if you drive through this town kind of not really paying attention,
Yeah,
you won't be
miss it.
You might miss it.
Even though there is a statue of enormous John Wayne.
But
and
again,
Maureen O'Hara.
it's not like a giant billboard at the entrance.
Yeah, no.
You are not entering the quiet man.
It
town.
could just be a statue of old Irish people
Yeah.
if you didn't know that it was famous movie stars. In terms of movies we've covered in this podcast that are most likely to have their own museum and gift shop, my main suggestions here would be Moulin Rouge.
Sure.
Although that is already a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know. How are we feeling about the Lighthouse? Was that shot somewhere on location where they might have a gift shop?
God. Long Island in Galway.
Mary Poppins is kind of part of the
That's sets,
Disneyland.
though.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's probably it, right?
Is this
The Bodyguard? The Rock? The Rock has a couple of merch items in the Alcatraz gift shop.
Yeah, that makes sense. How many films have we been to the location where they've shot this intermission that we've covered?
I don't know. The Journey, maybe.
The Journey?
Inadvertently? Not really.
Not really.
Have we done another Irish one? I think. The Foreigner. Maybe. Not really. That's mostly set in England. I've probably just been to, like, a lot of the films we've covered have just had stuff
You've
shot
been to
in
Paris,
New
where,
York and Paris.
some of the Mission Impossible stuff.
Yeah, Paris, New York, Rome, San Francisco,
Berlin for Tara. in your
Berlin.
episode.
These are all places you've been to LA. You might have been on the Collateral taxi route.
I may have.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of the Vertigo and Rear Window spots on my
Yes,
tour.
you did. Very good. All right, moving along.
Yep.
The Quiet Man shot on location. Yeah.
I was in Katz's Deli for.
Oh, you were
Her
in
Met
Katz's
Sally.
Deli. There you go.
I did
Perfect.
not have what she was having.
You did not have what she was
No,
having. No,
she
you
had
had
something
what
different.
you had what Shane was having.
I had what Shane was having.
I think this movie is such a stark departure from a lot of the stuff at the time, and we have a very clear contrast here, which is last week's Star is Born, a film which we called out as being entirely shot from one angle on sets and in front of green screen or back projected backgrounds. Like, I really feel like this movie benefits so thoroughly from being shot on location in three-dimensional exterior spaces where people are standing on a bridge and you can just kind of see what's going on behind the bridge.
A lot of the close-ups are green screened.
Of course they are.
Which looks kind of ridiculous.
Of course they are. But like, in order to get good sound and good lighting and control your lighting, you do need to have a bit of that going on. Yeah. But I think that, like, it's notable how Ford, relative to many of his contemporaries, saw the value in going outside and in making that effort and in getting a bit more use out of your space as a full environment than just one pretty picture behind the actors. So I think this film looks incredible. In terms of the substance of this film, I feel like most Irish people who have a nostalgic relationship with The Quiet Man couldn't tell you the plot. But
you can probably guess just from the fact that John Wayne is in Ireland.
Sure.
That, like, okay, he's not playing an Irishman, probably.
No. It's weirdly like it is a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But it's also half the field.
It's half the field, but you wouldn't think, The Quiet Man, rom-com. But like, it is. It's a rom-com and it has all the elements,
slapstick,
screwball
kind of humor,
elements that you'd get if it was Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's weird, but like transposed into Ireland with these actors who, with all respect, are not Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant, or Katharine Hepburn.
No.
But you basically, John Wayne's character is Sean Thornton, and he's a boxer who has traveled from Pittsburgh to Innisfree, which I don't know why it's called Innisfree when Innisfree is a real place. But anyway, wait, is Innisfree not? Innisfree is not a real place.
It's not a little island.
Is it not a made-up place?
For the poem.
Is the poem not about a made-up poem that sounds like it could be real? Never mind, there is a real place called Innisfree.
It's probably a little island. Or whatever.
Apologies, folks. So, like, he travels home, and he's like, I'm home. I love Ireland.
He obviously has some...
He's a secret.
He has some right to the land, or his grandfather owned some land, and he wants to buy it, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a fella who is a sort of a chancer, who's a Academy Award winner, Barry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what Barry Fitzgerald is? We're going to do a lot of what's someone's real name on this episode.
Sorry, Barry Fitzgerald is not his real name.
No, his name was William Shields.
Sorry, fuck off.
Yeah, yes. So until 2024, until March 2024, there were only 2 Irish-born actors who had ever won acting Oscars. Yeah. And they were BF, Barry Fitzgerald, and BF, Brenda Fricker.
Yeah.
And, of course, the third was Billy and Furphy. And Barry Fitzgerald, I don't want to dwell on because I frankly don't know much about him, but he looks like a little goblin. Like, he looks like a fucking Artemis Fowl, Judi Dench creature. He was the only Irish acting Oscar winner for decades.
Yeah.
Nominated so he wins Best Supporting Actor for the film Going My Way with Bing Crosby. He was also nominated for Best Actor for the same performance before they made that illegal. That's so absurd. That's actually so insane.
Jesus.
Fair play to him. He was born on Walworth Road, Portobello. And he was listed as number 11 on the Irish Greatest Film Actors of All Time list in the Irish Times, which is a Donald Clark, Tara Brady contraption in 2020. And would you like to know who number 1 on that list is? No surprise, Maureen O'Hara.
Really? Okay.
We do a quick guess at the top 10?
Are we
go,
counting DDL here?
We are. Number 2.
Colin Farrell's probably in there.
Colin Farrell is number 5.
CM, Mr. Murphy.
CM is
this pre or post Oscar?
CM not pre-Oscar. CM not top 10.
Okay.
He's number 12.
I'd say he'd be there now.
He'd be there now, yeah.
Murphy. Brendan
Fricker, not top 10, no.
Really?
No.
Who are the other?
Now, like, I have some issues with this.
Any of the Gleasons? Brendan?
No.
Are there a lot of old heads here that I'm missing out on?
The only one in here you couldn't possibly get is Maureen O'Sullivan at number 8.
Okay.
Who's like pre-Maureen O'Hara. Like,
yeah.
You get the rest, but like, I don't want to spend more than 1 more minute on this. There's also someone in here who just should, apart from DDL.
Oh, Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan's number 6.
Yeah.
There is another like not really Irish person in here.
Michael Fassbender.
Fassbender is in here. That's not who I'm talking about, but yes,
okay.
He's number 9.
Go on, give me the rest.
Ruth Negga, number 10.
She's not Irish.
No, she's Irish.
Oh, sorry.
So of course she is. Liam Neeson, number 7.
Okay.
Peter O'Toole is who I'm talking about.
Right.
Barely Irish. Like a man I've also seen in the town hall doing a Q&A. Number 4, and then Richard Harris, number 3.
Yeah, sure.
Which is probably the correct number 1 if you ask me. But anyway, interesting debate there. Is Michael Fassbender a better actor than Cillian Murphy? I think, yeah, maybe he is. But I've never thought about it.
No, I think you're... I think you're just a contrarian.
No, I think that Steve Jobs and Shame are like 2 of the great leading man performances of the last 25 years. Yeah. And I think that Michael Fassbender should have 2 Oscars. I think Cillian Murphy should probably also have 2 Oscars because he's incredible in Breakfast on Pluto.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're both great.
Not worth
They're
comparing.
completely different.
Absolutely.
Barry Fitzgerald, anyway, plays Micheline Og Flynn, who is like the closest this film gets to having a literal leprechaun in it. Wikipedia describes him as a matchmaker cum bookmaker. Oh, what a life. And he's basically just a guy who tricks fucking the brother of Maureen O'Hara's character.
Is he a horse?
What? Yeah. He basically sets these 2 up.
Yeah.
John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. And he rides around, he drives John Wayne around in his horse and carriage.
Sure.
There's a lot of shenanigans with the land, with Maureen O'Hara, with her what's the word for when you... Dowry?
Yeah, sorry. So eventually John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara want to get married, and this kind of leads into the second half of the film, really. Yeah. They kind of get out of the land
stuff. They get
stuff.
married like an hour into a 2-hour
and then we kind of just move on to real, like, pure rom-com nonsense.
Just bickering and fighting and this shit with the brother, who's played by the great Victor McLaglen.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of nonsense.
So basically, a dowry is when the family of the wife, of the bride, gives money or a gift to the groom to basically take her off their hands.
Yeah.
Maureen O'Hara's brother does not want to give the dowry to John Wayne, so John Wayne is like, fuck it, I'm leaving.
John Wayne's got bad vibes about him because he's a fucking American who's rocked up trying to buy land. He's literally setting up a part hotel in Smithfield. Like, bro wants...
Stay city. Like.
Yeah, bro wants to knock down a bunch of lovely pubs to build his fucking student accommodation flats. Like,
but it's such a backwards logic where, like, Maureen O'Hara gets John Wayne to fight her brother, so her brother will give him money.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Dowries are
an
ridiculous.
Unnamed person that we were watching this film with did reveal that he is potentially entering a dowry situation with his would-be father-in-law.
Yeah,
something that we haven't really dug into, but we'll have to discuss further.
Are there?
This shit's still going on.
Is there a brother in that situation who he needs to fight? No, I don't think so.
Father, I think.
Father, yeah. That's fine.
This
ultimately leads to John Wayne's trauma where he killed a man in a boxing match.
And we get the best scene in the film, in my opinion. Great. This scene, which has real A24 vibes. Where
no, fuck off. It does not.
where we see John Wayne punching this guy, killing him, but we don't see the real action of the scene. You kind of just see John Wayne's face reacting. There's no dialogue. You see his face reacting while the music plays, and then it cuts to a close-up of the ref, and the lights are flashing.
Those old camera bulbs.
It's unbelievable. It's like something out of a fucking, I don't even know what to compare it to, but it's very modern.
And it cuts to himself and his trainers, and they're just frozen there, looking sweat.
Oh my God,
blood.
it's incredible.
It's not dissimilar to the shot last week in Stars Born where she's leaving the funeral and her veil is ripped off.
Yes. True.
Real good, just like shock and disgusting face reaction.
So at odds with the rest of this film, which is very light and fluffy, and not these intense close-ups with no dialogue at all. Like, I wish more of the film was like this scene. I think that like this is what John Ford is really good at. He's really good at this like weird, intense.
But it's a great kind of non-literal shot. Like it's kind of almost a representation of. A non-literal representation of how it feels to like kill someone in a ring. Like it doesn't show all the specifics and practicalities of it. Like it's just
it's definitely the part of the film that I remembered the most vividly from last time I'd seen it, because I hadn't seen this in 20 years. Anyway, the film basically ends with a giant fight between John Wayne and Victor McLaglen.
No, his kind of issue with killing a man while punching him doesn't really show up during the fight at all.
He's got the fight in him.
He has no issue beating the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, Victor McLaglen, who we realized during the course of the film kind of looks like Conor McGregor, and he just kind of behaves like Conor McGregor in this.
No, kind of late stage, puffy Conor McGregor.
He kind of like, he does the, Conor McGregor walks like he's just shit his pants. Like he walks into every scene like that, like, oh, boss man, I'm going to get you, I'm going to fight you.
His nose is swollen, his eyes are a bit closed.
Yeah, it's horrible to compare any great Hollywood actor to
I think
Conor
that's
McGregor.
An unfair comparison.
But he's got a little bit of Conor McGregor in him, and you can imagine Conor McGregor. And I'd love to see John Wayne beat the shit out of Conor McGregor.
Do you think Conor McGregor likes The Quiet Man?
I think Conor McGregor loves The Quiet Man, and as I was saying, watching this, I can see Conor McGregor trying to remake this now and begging different Irish actresses to be in it with him.
Coming off Roadhouse, he's pitching a Quiet Man, The Quiet Man 2.
Exactly. The film is based on a short story. John Ford had bought the rights for the story for $10. The story's author was paid another $2,500 when Republic bought the idea, and he received a final payment of $3,750 when the film was actually made.
Which in today's money is about 70 to 80 grand.
Yeah, and the film's budget is about 40 million in today's money, which I think is pretty much exactly what a film like this would be costing today. Let me check. So I compared, the closest thing you can compare this film to today is obviously Wild Mountain Thyme, which is another Irish rural rom-com.
Sure.
And that had a budget of $5.5 million with Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan. So maybe this wouldn't cost $40 million today.
Technicolor wasn't free,
John Patrick Shanley, of course, the John Ford of our generation.
Mm-hmm.
But John Ford's I'm not the world's number one John Ford expert, but the place I work runs a John Ford event every couple of years, so I probably should be more of an expert. But is of course, folks may know him as having been portrayed by David Lynch in the final scene of The Fabelmans, where he makes a speech to Spielberg about don't film the horizon in the middle of the shot and all this.
Yeah.
If you watch John Ford's films, you can see what he meant. But he's got, bro had a fucking eye patch. Like he was the sickest, coolest person you'll ever see.
It's funny a man had such a great sense of depth perception in film for a guy with one eye.
Like his real name was Feeney. Sean Aloysius O'Farna. Like his John Ford was a made up name.
Sorry, John Ford Irish?
Yeah, very much so. Like as in second generation.
Second generation. Yeah.
Born in Maine, died in Palm Desert, but he was very Irish, and that's why he came.
I still can't get over changing your name to Barry Fitzgerald.
It's insane, isn't it? But
like in modern terms, William Shields is like more of a
pretty Irish name, yeah.
Not even Irish name, but like
normal name,
posh name.
Yeah. But he is one of the greats, and he makes dozens and dozens and dozens of westerns, and most of them star John Wayne, and they have one of the most prolific director actor sort of collaborations ever. Loads of his films are Oscar nominated and win Oscars. I'm saying, looking here, 7 actors won Oscars for starring in his films. John Wayne was never awarded an Oscar for any of his Ford films, though. He doesn't receive an Oscar until relatively late in his career when he makes True Grit, which is, of course, best known by our generation as having been remade by the Coen brothers with Jeff Bridges. But he wins that in 1969. So you're talking 15 years after The Quiet Man. So he's getting on a bit when True Grit comes out. I think I've seen the original True Grit years ago, but I can't really remember. Glenn Campbell is the second lead of True Grit, which is really fun.
Wow.
He's in the role that I guess is Brolin in the Coen one, or Damon. I can't remember the distinction between the Brolin and the Damon roles.
So who did Bridges then is kind of the lead of that?
Bridges is Rooster Cogburn, who's the John Wayne character, and John Wayne has the same eye patch that I guess that John Ford had and that Jeff Bridges has in that movie. But that's his Oscar. At that point, he has represented a certain American type of masculinity for decades, and I can't say that John Wayne represents a type of American man that I admire, but he certainly is a movie star that I am drawn to as a certain kind of monolithic face carved in stone. Represents an era, if not several eras of Hollywood.
If you say John Wayne to like anybody on the street, they kind of know what you mean.
Yeah. Now, I waited till we were recording to Google, why was John Wayne known as the Duke? Because this is his name for years.
Okay.
The Duke.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not reading the AI answer, Google. He started being called Little Duke by a fireman on his route to school because he never went anywhere without his huge Airedale Terrier called Duke. So it came from his dog.
His dog.
Very good. John Wayne's career largely taken up with westerns and war movies. So you're talking about the type of films that I don't tend to throw on a casual Wednesday evening. But some of his westerns are great. And I definitely was shown probably 7, 8, 9 of his westerns by my dad as a child. And the ones that stuck with me did stick with me. She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, I remember really liking. That's one of the Ford Technicolor westerns. Rio Grande is really good. Three Godfathers, Fort Apache, these are really good. But then his best movie, in my opinion, his best performance is The Searchers, which is definitely my favorite John Ford movie. And his character in The Searchers is like the most interesting and nuanced version of a John Wayne character. He is a traumatized Civil War Confederate guy who is sent to basically hunt down Natalie Wood, who has been kidnapped by like Comanches, and he goes looking for her and finds her, and she is sort of one of them now. Yeah. And he's not happy about that. And he has to deal with his own kind of trauma and his violent tendencies and whatever. And like, it's a really, really great character. It's an amazing film. Searcher is incredible. One of the most visually influential films ever
Just
made.
like The Quiet Man, where he has to come to Ireland and tame the Irish.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
His future wife is entrenched in.
Exactly. I'm surprised. I had kind of forgotten how many of the westerns he was in, Maureen O'Hara is in with him. Yeah. She's like the love interest in a bunch of his movies, not just this. And this is actually not their first film together with John Ford, which was surprising to me. I thought it would have been. You wonder then if John Ford was like, I love this Irish actress I'm working with. I got to make a movie in Ireland even more.
She's got a good like physicality to her. Like she's doing kind of stunts and stuff in this, and rolling and tumbling and doing the bit. Sure. So obviously someone who's easy to work with. Yeah. But John Ford, John, I keep fucking up the names. John Wayne. We must touch upon this man's politics and personal behavior, because what a piece of work this guy was. No. What a scumbag. One of our most notorious advocates for crushing communism, and a major fan and advocate of the HUAC and Senator McCarthy. Oh, yes. Very fond of the old blacklist. Wanted all the commies kicked out of America. Began making films with the explicit intention of promoting anti-communist ideas right around the time of The Quiet Man. So in 1952, he makes a movie called Big Jim McLean, in which he actually plays a HUAC investigator investigating communists in post-war Hawaii organized labor scene. So like, just one of our like great propagandists, John Wayne was. But you know what? I don't hold that against him, because I'm like, that's Joseph Stalin is alleged to have said that Wayne should be assassinated for his frequently espoused anti-communist politics, despite being a fan of his movies. Oh yeah, Stalin loved the westerns. I should write a fictional John Wayne Stalin movie where they're like hanging out. The Journey, like. The Journey, but with John Wayne and that's kind of what The Interview is, isn't it? Dave Skylark. Yes, and, kind of Kim Jong.
In 1960, John Wayne joined the anti-communist John Birch Society, but quit after the organization denounced fluoridation of water supplies as a communist plot.
He was like, fuck it.
Yeah. So the Republican Party tried to get him to run for office because he was so beloved and he was one of the most outspoken Republicans in the entertainment world. And he said that he did not believe the public would seriously consider an actor in the White House. Next sentence, he supported his friend Ronald Reagan's campaign for governor of California.
About to say,
like, if we were going to have a cowboy Republican president, I would much rather it have been John Wayne than Ronald Reagan. He's far more compelling as a speaker. Like, Ronald Reagan was a shitty cowboy actor.
Yeah.
John Wayne was a great cowboy actor. I would much rather John Wayne have been in that job. Now, he might have been more right-wing and killed more people than Reagan, but who's to say? In 1971, we're taking a new twist here.
New twist.
In 1971, Wayne wrote to President Nixon, who was a friend, to oppose Nixon's planned trip to China. Wayne enclosed some hate literature on, quote, that Jew Kissinger, who had negotiated this dark meeting with Chinese leaders. Just absolutely like...
No, we're no Henry Kissinger fans either.
But the one thing I want you, just leave the anti-Semitism out of it when you're attacking Henry Kissinger, please.
There's so much else you can
There's
go
all
after.
this shit in here. Like, okay, apparently on the Panama Canal, he was weirdly measured and he sided with William F. Buckley against Reagan. When Marlon Brando refused his Oscar and Sacheen Littlefeather went up and accepted it, she later claimed that John Wayne had to be restrained from running up and attacking her. But John Wayne and others later came out and said that that was impossible, that she wouldn't have been able to see him. So that's not true. But maybe something like that happened. And Roger Ebert went on a tour of his house once and it was just full of like crazy shit. So, but then Abby Hoffman, famously played by Sacha Baron Cohen in the film Trial of the Chicago 7, said, I like Wayne's wholeness, his style. As for his politics, well, I suppose even cavemen felt a little admiration for the dinosaurs that were trying to gobble them up. Meanwhile, Jean-Luc Godard, in his essay, what's 3,000 in French? 3000 du cinéma, asked rhetorically, how can I hate John Wayne, upholding Goldwater, and yet love him when abruptly he takes Natalie Wood in his arms in the last reel of The Searchers? So that's enough about John Wayne.
Classic separate the art from the artist.
Great movie star, horrible guy. Like, most of his movies are kind of the same. He is another great boy party, which is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Which we may do someday.
Maybe.
Jimmy Stewart's also in his final film, The Shootist. Oh, yeah. He has a great final film. I haven't seen it, but it's a great, like, you know, he knew what he was doing. His final film...
It's a good closure film.
Was The Shootist, in which he plays, like, his usual character, but dying of cancer. Okay. The movie comes out, and then he dies of cancer. Yeah. His doctor in the movie, who tells him he's got cancer, Jimmy Stewart. Now, where did John Wayne get cancer, you might wonder? What might have provoked this man to get cancer? Well,
either
he was involved in shooting a Genghis Khan biopic on nuclear testing sites in which 40% of the cast and crew developed and 20% later died of terminal cancer. Investigate yourself further, folks. We don't want to espouse conspiracy theories on this podcast. We can't back this up.
Correlation does not imply causation.
No. But, you know, was there a bit of karma there for the right-wing racist John Wayne?
No, then again, John Wayne,
Genghis Khan movie.
John Wayne did like fluoride in his water.
That's true.
That is true.
He did drink
like,
a lot of fluoridation water, famously so. Maureen O'Hara, Irish Times #1 greatest Irish actor of all time. She is all of her career is contained in like the 40s to the 60s. This I did not realize.
Okay.
She was still alive 10 years ago, and I saw her in person in 2004. So in my head, she was a movie star for every decade that had happened.
But just stopped working.
She had retired like at the start of the 70s. This is nuts. So she starts acting in movies at the end of the 30s. She gets discovered by, of all people, the great Charles Laughton, who is like one of the great fucking actors and also directors of one film, The Night of the Hunter, one of the greatest films ever made. And he basically sees her audition tape that she had sent into the studio and was like, what an incredible looking Irish lady. And he puts her in, he starts like getting her cast in movies. So she's in this Hitchcock movie that I watched today with Charles Laughton that I'd never seen, Jamaica Inn. What a snooze. This movie is about like pilfering. Oh, it's just about like guys who fucking wash up on beaches in the 1930s with like treasure chests and stuff, but they're not pirates because that would be too exciting. It's all set inside, and Charles Laughton doesn't really get to go full Charles Laughton to the last 20 minutes. Very disappointing. But the same year, she's in another Charles Laughton vehicle, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Esmeralda, the gypsy, is her role. You saw a bit of this with me the other day.
I did.
Fucking this movie rules. It's really big crowd scenes, loads of good outdoor stuff, incredible sets. Very different to the Disney version that you folks might be familiar with, but casting the redhead Irish woman as mysterious gypsy Esmeralda is hilarious. But you'll see throughout her career, Maureen O'Hara's Irishness does get her pigeonholed as lots of different ethnic groups. You know, she was kind of
the Cliff Curtis of her day.
The Cliff Curtis of her day. Like, they put her in all sorts of movies. The John Turturro, Rob Schneider, as all sorts of different races and nationalities. Because they were just like, I don't know, you don't look American.
The original hodgepodge.
Maureen O'Hara. But Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1939 is great. I'd recommend you all check it out. Charles Laughton has crazy makeup and he looks even scarier than usual. First John Ford collab, I'm going to say, although prove me wrong, is 1941 How Green Is My Valley, which I've seen years ago. I was hoping to rewatch it. I didn't get a chance to. This is the Welsh version of The Quiet Man. It's set in Wales in a small mining village. It's like a very quaint drama about family and community and all of this, and it won Best Picture. And you know what it beat? A little film called Citizen Kane. So I do think, although people, the world of film people adore John Ford and this movie is great, I do think people generally are like, How Green Was My Valley? Oh, the movie that beat Citizen Kane at the Oscars. Like, you're never going to live that one down. It's the whole Driving Miss Daisy, do the right thing problem. She is one of the leads of that anyway. She plays like a sort of a young 20s sister in that. A lot of movies I haven't seen. She works loads and loads and loads. She's in loads of stuff with Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart and Charles Laughton and John Garfield. And you're just looking down this, and Joel McRae, and you're looking down this list, and I'm like, I don't think I copped how many of my favorite actors ever Maureen O'Hara was in movies with when I was sitting in the town hall.
She was part of the rotation.
Yeah. When I was sitting on the town hall in Galway in 2004, several months after my own secondary school musical on that stage of a great little show called The Bold Children about children who fall into a hole. I was on the same, I performed on the same stage as Maureen O'Hara. But yeah, like, she was in fucking movies kissing Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda. One of the greats. Crazy. The generation that she's part of is like pre Golden Age Hollywood. Like, she's in the fucking Babylon times. Like, but anyway, she works with John Ford. She works with Hitchcock. One of her most iconic roles is in Miracle on 34th Street, which is a great Christmas movie, which is of course remade with Mara Wilson and Richard Attenborough in the 90s. This is a movie where Santa Claus goes to court. I don't really like Miracle on 34th Street, but she's the mother in that. She is in the original Parent Trap as the mother. Oh. With Hayley Mills, star of M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, which was a fun little in-joke for Parent Trap heads. Really? Hayley Mills plays the hostage negotiator in Trap. Oh, she does. Original girl in the Parent Trap. Yeah. And Maureen O'Hara plays the mother. Who's the mother in the Parent Trap remake? It's not Demi Moore. Katie Brady's shouting at her phone right now if she's listening. But Maureen O'Hara's film career basically wraps up by, 1966, The Rare Breed, 1960, 1970, How Do I Love Thee. She is the star of a movie called Spencer's Mountain with Henry Fonda, which is the film that The Waltons is based on. So this was written by Earl Hamner Jr., and it's about his time growing up in the mountains. Now, this is set in Wyoming, and The Waltons is set in West Virginia, but Maureen O'Hara plays a character called Olivia in the movie, which is the name of the mother that Michael Learned plays on The Waltons. And as I was saying, it's based on Earl Hamner Jr.'s novel Spencer's Mountain. And then Earl Hamner is actually the narrator of The Waltons as well as the creator. And he basically starts every episode of The Waltons being like, when I was growing up on Walton's Mountain, he's meant to be playing the older version of John Boy Walton, a character we may mention on next week's episode.
Yeah, I was about to say we might have another Waltons reference.
One other Maureen O'Hara film that I want to really quickly mention. In 1962, she's in a Jimmy Stewart comedy called Mr. Hobbs Takes a Vacation, which has an absolutely delightful poster of Jimmy Stewart just making like this face. You can't see it, but it says, "Jimmy takes a vacation. You have all the fun."
Is he not looking very grumpy in that poster?
No, there's two. There's one of him looking grumpy and one of him pointing and laughing at himself looking grumpy.
All right,
it's
gotcha.
Jimmy Stewart doing a Chevy Chase movie, and she plays his
National
wife.
Lampoon,
And
like-
and we watched the trailer for it when you were out, and it looked hilarious. So she makes no movies from 1971 until 1991. She comes out of retirement for one final film. I watched it 2 hours ago.
Oh, no.
It is a John Candy vehicle called Only the Lonely, directed by Chris Columbus, produced by John Hughes. It's really good.
Okay.
It's about John Hughes as a cop who can't get a girlfriend because his Irish mother is completely in his face all the time, in his business. Maureen O'Hara plays the mother. You can kind of tell she hadn't made a movie in 30 years, 20 years.
Bit
stiff, but she's very funny in it.
Yeah.
It's a really good film. He ends up going out with Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club, who plays like a shy undertaker girl who's really charming in it. The Ali Sheedy character doesn't really like compute with the mother thing. It is kind of a loose remake of Marty, the Ernest Borgnine movie, which I love, which is a similar kind of like schlub can't get a girl because his mother is so overbearing type thing. But there's a great scene where Maureen O'Hara is like, "Don't go out to the opera, son. It's Halloween. I'll be kidnapped. I'll be murdered." And he's like, "You'll tell the trick-or-treaters will be 4 foot tall." And then the
So John Candy doing an Irish accent?
No.
She's
She's the Irish. She's Irish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of other Irish stuff in it. Like she goes down to the local Irish pub where Milo O'Shea is hanging out. Anthony Quinn shows up, like the great Anthony Quinn shows up and is like, "I am the Greek man. I want to marry you." And she's like, "I won't marry a Greek man. The Greek men are stinky. They don't shower." She's very racist and she makes a few anti-Semitic comments actually. But sorry, she's like, "Can't go out to the opera. I'll get murdered." And he's like, "You'll be fine, Mom." And then the second he goes out, she opens the door to her trick-or-treater. Trick-or-treater pulls out a gun and enters her home. And there's just a shot of her just like looking directly into the camera being like, "Oh, Johnny, why did you have to go to the opera?" It's so funny. So recommend Only the Lonely. Maureen O'Hara's final film. Actually pretty good as final films.
Yeah,
though.
that's nice.
So that's Maureen O'Hara. That's John Wayne. That is The Quiet Man. Anything else to say about it?
No, we didn't really discuss the ending, which is it's a big outdoor scene where they basically...
As I inferred with my quote at the start of the episode, a lot of women being pulled and yanked and beaten in this
for
film.
humorous reasons.
Yes.
Where,
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Yes, John Wayne likes to grab Maureen O'Hara by the scruff of the neck and basically drag her through the fields with a giant crowd following.
Sure does.
And our quote came from an old lady in the film who goes
correct.
up to John Wayne and says, "Here's a lovely stick to beat the woman with."
Yeah. Maureen O'Hara apparently was listening to the music from The Quiet Man when she was dying. Okay.
The music where she was getting beaten to.
Yeah, maybe.
It turns into a nice big rough and tumble down the street of the town where both of them take a halftime break and have a pint.
Yep.
And are like, "You're fighting very
It's
well."
fun. Yeah. The film doesn't outstay its welcome too much.
No, not at all.
This film wins Best Director at the Oscars for John Ford.
Class.
Nominated for Best Picture. Best Supporting Actor nomination for Victor McLaglen. Best Screenplay. Best Art Direction, Cinematography, and Sound. Nothing for the two leads.
Weird.
Bizarre. Let's see what else was nominated.
Yeah.
Best Picture that year goes to The Greatest Show on Earth. This is the film that reportedly inspired Spielberg to start making films.
Okay.
Also nominated, High Noon, which John Wayne refused to star in because he thought there was communist undertones. Ivanhoe, whatever the fuck version of Ivanhoe that is. Robert Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor. I actually might have seen that. And the original John Huston version of Moulin Rouge.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Nominated for Best Actor that year, Gary Cooper, Marlon Brando, Kirk Douglas, Jose Ferrer, and Alec Guinness.
That's some big names
Fair
there.
enough.
Fair enough.
And Best Actress, you have Shirley Booth, Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, Julie Harris, and Susan Hayward. The winner of Best Supporting Actor that year, well, folks, is none other than Only the Lonely star Anthony Quinn. All right.
Was John Wayne considered annoying in Hollywood back then? Were people like, "Oh, fuck that guy"?
Well, they wouldn't have said it in public, would they? I don't know. What was like Hedda Hopper, the gossip columnist, the Matt Bellany of her day, writing in her, "Hello, it's Hedda Hopper. This is the town. Producer Craig, you love Maureen O'Hara, don't you?" No. Anyway. All right. That one's a bit too niche. Letterboxd top 4 game.
Yeah.
Megan Gleeson. Megan G, 2001. I bet she's Irish.
Sounds like it.
She has Top 4, Quiet Man's number 3 in her top 4. Her number 1, it's a movie we've covered on this podcast. It's been mentioned on this episode.
Okay.
It's from the 1980s.
80s.
Yeah.
Ooh, and it's been mentioned.
And the two leads are looking at each other on the poster. They are in profile, staring each other in the face.
Is this a romantic
Correct.
comedy?
It's a comedy of the romantic variety.
Comedy of the romantic variety from the... Is this When Harry Met Sally?
When Harry Met Sally... ... Number 2. This is a movie we could cover at some point. 5-star masterpiece from the last 10 years. An incredible film. Great director. A bunch of great actresses in this. A couple of good actors in it too.
So it's mostly the ladies.
Rules is good. The fact that it's mostly ladies is implied by the title. Based on a book. Been a couple of adaptations of this over the years. This is
Little Women.
This is Little Women. Women of the little
small variety.
Then we have A Man of the Quiet Variety in third place. And then in fourth place we have A Boy Party that I hope we never get around to. This is a people leaning on each other early 2000s rom-com.
Is this like The Proposal or...
No, that's not a lean. That's a standing on a box.
Okay. So is this a...
This is like ultimate leaning couple. This is
the woman taller than the man? Is that why she's leaning?
No. They're like, no, he's a bit taller.
Okay.
They're leaning because...
Is this a Reese Witherspoon?
No.
Drew Barrymore?
Like lower, poorer quality. Like
Not Bullock.
someone we've covered on the show.
Someone we've covered.
Bad actress. Terrible, terrible star of bad romantic comedies.
Oh, Jesus.
Not someone I'm a fan of outside of her one good role that we did on this podcast.
One good
We've
role.
covered both these people on this podcast.
Ugh. There's too many options.
This is some shit that... Now, I don't want to sound sexist or anything here. This is some shit that girls do be watching when they break up with their boyfriend. Like, otherwise, it has no reason to exist. It's trash.
Okay.
It's a bad movie. I couldn't tell you who directed it. I couldn't tell you who wrote it. It's just shit. Donald Petrie directed this film. It's just shit that, like, is on Netflix.
What year in 2004?
03.
03.
The tagline. One of them is lying, so is the other. I actually kind of like that.
Are we talking
It's
English here?
No, American. It's the battle of wills, as Andy needs to prove she can something in something. That would spoil the title.
Just tell me. I give up.
She needs to prove she can dump a guy in 10 days. It's how to lose a guy in 10 days.
Who's in that?
Hudson McConaughey.
Oh, it is Hudson.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to... What do we do Hudson in?
Almost Famous.
Oh, we did.
Third
Jesus,
build, we have Catherine Hahn. Boy, I wish she was the lead.
Hey-o.
All right. You have any desire to quiz me on the top 10 films of 1952?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
These old movie episodes
You've read through the Oscar winners.
run really long. Why is that?
Because we have an entire life's worth to talk about these
Is that
people.
it? We're talking about someone with a 60-year career versus Seth Rogen's 18-year career.
I guess so, yeah. And you can...
Must be.
And we tend to have like better stories maybe about these old people.
The Wikipedia pages are more detailed.
Um,
Well, also, I'm overcompensating. I'm like preparing other segments to make up for the fact that I haven't seen a lot of their work.
A little bit.
But then we end up just
And
having...
also, we're not used to discussing the time periods. We feel more need to go
there's
into
more
depth.
content,
Is
yeah.
it 1952 or 1954?
52.
52.
We did 54 last week.
Nice.
Probably the same. It's probably the same films.
Yeah, just on re-release.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We're going based on...
No, I did just read out the Oscar nominations.
You did,
which
you
probably
did.
spoiled half of them, but...
Number 1.
Yeah.
Is also the Oscar Best Picture winner.
So it was... I've literally already forgotten what it was. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. What won Best Picture?
It inspired a generation of not great films.
The greatest story ever told. The greatest show on earth.
Yeah.
I did that in my David Lynch voice for no reason.
That made a whopping $36 million
in money from that time.
1952.
Right, so basically $1 billion. Yeah,
I guess so.
Enormous success. Yeah.
Next up, this features the name of a mountain. It was not
Spencer's Mountain.
No.
Fort Apache. Fort
No.
Kilimanjaro.
Close.
The Bells of Saint... No, Kilimanjaro's in there?
Yeah, the something of Kilimanjaro.
Snows of Kilimanjaro.
Snows of Kilimanjaro.
I've seen that. Gregory Peck's in that.
G. Peck.
Yeah, that's good.
Josh Peck's dad.
Josh Peck's dad, Gregory. I've seen that movie. It is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next up, we got the a hyper-communist non-John Wayne film.
High Noon.
High Noon.
Starring Gary Cooper from The Newsroom.
Yeah. Oh, we got 2 bangers coming up here.
Oh, class.
We got
It is 1952.
The Quiet Man himself.
Great.
And next up, this is probably your favorite film on the list.
Oh, wow.
This is a musical.
Okay. Is it a Gene or a Fred?
It's a Gene.
Okay. Is it on? It's not on the Town.
No.
It's
bigger. The big one.
Oh, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
You're telling me Singing in the Rain not Oscar nominated that year? It can't be so.
It's listed here as April 10th, 1952.
Okay. I'm hoping that it was like in a previous year's Oscar eligible. Singing in the Rain was only Oscar nominated for supporting actress and original music. What the fuck? What shit were they pulling there? Oh my God. And the supporting actress nomination was for Jean Hagen. It wasn't even for Debbie Reynolds. Okay, Jean Hagen is really good. And
Yeah.
No. Yes. She is maybe the best performance in Singing in the Rain. I'm Lena Lamont.
She's Lena Lamont. Oh, she's
great.
Yeah.
Lena Lamont's one of the greatest performances. Okay, to be fair, that is like the most deserved Oscar nomination I've ever heard. She lived. Do you want to hear something crazy? She died 40 years before Maureen O'Hara died.
Jesus.
That's crazy. Awful. Anyway. All right, one more.
I'll just tell you what the next are.
Yeah.
We had The World in His Arms.
I don't know, Jesus-y thing.
$1 Million Mermaid.
Sure.
Now, the next one has a good...
That's probably a Dean Jones movie.
Next one has a good title.
Oh, yeah?
Invasion USA.
Oh, that sounds so good. What is it? Battle Los Angeles.
Battle Los
of its
Angeles.
day. That sounds great.
What's the China Syndrome?
Yeah, the China
Yeah.
system. Red Dawn.
Okay, so like number 8 in the list here made $1.2 million, which is like...
Invasion USA is probably like a Dinesh D'Souza movie about communism. Like.
Sure. Okay, that came out in December.
All
and
right.
finally, we have a film that is still being remade in 2025.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Very, very controversial film.
A very controversial film being remade. The remake is controversial, or everything about it is controversial.
The remake, more so.
The remake is coming out this year or last year.
Just came out recently.
It just came out recently. A remake of something from olden times. Controversial. Why was it controversial?
The people involved, on a very, very small scale, the subject matter, and certain a lot around casting and who's cast and who wasn't.
Who was cast and who wasn't? Fascinating.
This is. Do you want me to tell you?
I'm interested in why. I can't figure out. Tell me.
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Snow White.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Rachel
God,
Zegler would have won an Oscar in 1952.
She would have won an Oscar in 1952. She would have beaten Maureen O'Hara in The Quiet Man, like John Wayne does constantly throughout the film. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to this episode of Boy Party. We hope that all of our Quiet Man heads have not felt disrespected by
Our quiet men and women.
our flippant approach to this classic, incredibly important film. We'll be back next week. We'll be discussing something a little bit more recent. We've done our time now with the 1950s. No more. Visit boypartypod.com for the latest episodes, including my 25 for 25 countdown. You can follow the show on Blue Sky and Instagram, Boy Party Pod. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Shane. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Get home safe.